Okay. This is a really good one. Why did Frosty ask for a divorce? Because his wife was a total flake. What? Not so much? Okay. This is a great one. This is so good. How do you help someone who's lost their Christmas spirit? Nurse them back to Elf. It's so freaking funny. All right. Here's one for all my fellow Jew peeps out there. Not offensive at all. Why did the boy put his Hanukkah money in the freezer? He wanted cold, hard cash. Happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all of those great sorts of things. See you next week.
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey everybody, your friendly neighborhood Glenn here, and I hope that everybody is having a wonderful, amazing holiday season. I want to thank each and every one of you for your love and support this year. What a great year it has been. How much fun am I having getting to do all of these exciting things? We're doing this show, we're doing the Hotel Tech podcast, we're doing the Business of Hotels podcast, we're doing the Hotel Design podcast. And of course, we're doing Checking In with Anthony and Glenn, which I do with Hotel Impossible's Anthony Milcuri. Be sure to download all of those shows. And if that isn't enough, we've really been growing our community and having a great time putting out tons of different videos. Now, I don't know if you had a chance to check it out. Better go right now. Go to novacancynews.com, see our Facebook page, see our LinkedIn page. Check out my big omelet making contest that I had over at the Embassy Suites in Phoenix, Arizona with their global head, Alan Roberts. I challenged him to an omelet contest. We're going to see who can make Embassy Suites breakfast signature item even better. And that crackpot group of judges are going to let me know. So, will my omelet reign supreme? I don't know. You're going to have to go watch that video to find out. Bets were placed. Winners were made. Losers were crowned. All right. So I also want you guys all out there, I want you to save some money. You know, it's the holiday season. You probably spend a lot on gifts. There's a lot of love going out there, but I want to help you guys save money, which is why I want you to reshape your expectations of what an FF&E distribution partner for hospitality should be. That's right, guys and girls. I'm talking about Ammo Hospitality because they're your go-to partner to simplifying FF&E deployments for your guest rooms and beyond. They got industry-leading brands. I'm talking Samsung. I'm talking Peerless AV. I'm talking the Cape Soleil line of outdoor furniture. I'm talking great installation services, everything that you need, that technology stuff and other areas of your business. You will save money on major appliances, outdoor furniture, housewares, and a whole lot more. Do me a favor, check them out at hospitality.almoproav.com. That's hospitality.almoproav.com. Now, one of the things that I think a lot about during the holiday season is family, right? It's a time that we're all supposed to get together. You know, the ones that we love, with the family we don't like so much, but we're there anyway in the spirit of the holiday season. Woo! I know, I don't know if I'm lucky or not, but I don't really have any surviving family, and it's kind of a strange thing for me. It's just basically my mom and my wife and my 2 children, and of course I've got a couple of cousins and one remaining aunt, but really very, very small family. I don't really see the people other than the ones that live in my house and my mom ever. So the holidays always makes me think a little bit more. I think about history. Where did my people come from? Who am I as an individual, right? I don't really know all that much about my family history, and I really would like to learn more about my genealogy, where I come from, who my people are. And that's why I thought it was pretty cool to get Elizabeth Crabill to do our first interview today. And she is with CIE Tours, and they focus on genealogical tourism. Jeez, I'm having a hard time saying that word. Maybe a little too much pre-holiday season eggnog for me. I don't know. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying I'm having trouble saying the word genealogical. All right? So don't give me a hard time out there. All right, anyway, Elizabeth Crabill of CIE Tours. She was a great interview. I had so much fun doing that one. Then on the other side of the commercial break, we have Miss Mimi Rogers. She is president for WaterWalk International and Consolidated Holdings. You know the brand WaterWalk. You know Oakwood WaterWalk. You know all of these things out there. All right, guys, I want to thank you all so much. Hope you have a great holiday week. And be sure to check out all of our shows, right? And if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked us on Facebook, if you haven't followed us on LinkedIn, please do that for me. Hook a brother up, yo. You know what I'm saying? I need a little bit of love in the holiday season. I just told you I don't really have much family. I'm not getting much in terms of gifts over here, people. No, I'll get some good potato latkes that my mom's going to make me. Sure, I'm not saying I'm not having potato latkes. What I'm saying is I'm not getting a lot of presents. So please show me a love. Give me that like. Download some shows. Do that sort of thing. Let's keep the love going at the end of 2019. And I'll see you back here next week for our final show of 2020. And now let's hear from Elizabeth Crabill of CIE Tours. Thanks, guys, for listening. Love you all. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about genealogical tourism, which is a really cool phenomenon, I think. I think a lot of us these days here, especially in the United States, we have so many family that came here back in the day that we want to start to get connected to. We want to start to feel more in touch with our ancestry, with our roots, where we came from. I mean, for me, you know, it's really cool that my grandparents, my grandmother in particular, came on the back of a push cart across all of Europe before hopping a boat with her mom in Amsterdam to come here. And my grandfather, who wound up marrying my grandmother, was like 17 years old when he went down to South America first, Argentina, and then he found his way to New York. And I just wish I had the opportunity and had a better sense of where specifically they came from and what villages they came from, so I could be able to go back and have that experience and really see the motherland, see where my family came from. But fortunately, folks that have other types of heritage, more connection to the Emerald Isle over there, are going in record numbers back to Ireland with CIE Tours on these exciting genealogical tourism. So I want to talk a little bit about that trend today with Elizabeth Crabill of CIE Tours on the genealogical tourism trend. Sorry, everybody, I was at a concert last night, so I'm feeling a little loopy this morning. Elizabeth, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you.
Well, thanks for putting up with me. I really appreciate it. So a little stuff to the audience out there listening. As funny as this might be, this has been one of the most difficult interviews we have ever had to coordinate here at the No Vacancy podcast. We've been going back and forth on this bad boy, I think, for about 4 months now, Elizabeth. So I can't tell you how excited I am here. I feel like we're going to need to do some genealogical tourism just to find out when we started this conversation.
Exactly. Well, it's certainly possible. Certainly possible.
Yeah. Okay. So, when your people reached out to me and we connected, and they were really great to point out there's this surge in the DNA kits that are out there right now are really connecting people to their ancestry. And that's kind of like, I guess, energizing your world and what you do every single day at CIE Tours.
Absolutely. Yeah. The trend of genealogy and interest in traveling to follow up on your genealogy definitely has boomed in the last decade. There's no question. And these home DNA kits are one of the biggest drivers. You know, the technology has become so accessible and so affordable that it's really an inexpensive way for people to get an initial view of where your family may have come from in different regions of the world. So first of all, that has become like a pastime for people, is to get these kits, get them for their friends and family, and kind of bond together over what they're finding. So Ancestry.com, I think they've sold over more than 10 million kits since they launched way back in 1983. Wow. And that's only growing. So that's one thing.
They launched back in 1983?
They did, but the technology and the distribution, it really is a mix of technology and e-commerce. It's like the two have really come together in the last decade to facilitate that boom. So it's amazing.
And it will. When you look at technology, Elizabeth, to think that has become so commonplace, they just advertise it on TV like anything else. It's pretty amazing stuff, and we need to take a moment to think about how incredible this technology really is.
Yeah, and it's always getting better and it's getting faster and more accurate. And
Right.
the second thing, since you mentioned television, is just really genealogy as a television genre. You've got so
Mhm.
many different programs that are available online and on television. You've got Who Do You Think You Are on TLC. PBS has Finding Your Roots and Genealogy Roadshow. They're doubling up
Right.
on it. And then you have CNN has Roots, and there's many more.
Well,
But
I found
basically,
my roots in the United States by watching the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, because that's kind of like, that's like my whole grandparents parents kind of universe over there.
and your roots in stand-up comedy, of course, as well. So there you go.
Yeah, except she's funny.
Well, there you go. We'll give
Yeah,
it to her. We'll give it to
yeah,
her. But this is really, I mean, the two things are coming together, and just the interest and the resources that are available. And it's only
right.
natural that over time this is going to merge with travel, because travel is also on an incredible upswing for all generations of travelers. Your baby boomers, your Gen X, and your millennials all want reasons to go overseas. They want reasons to connect with people there, and genealogy is perfect for that. So the trend is really big among all levels of travelers. So we think it's going to continue to grow. Now,
That's awesome. So if it is going to continue to grow, what's next? How are you leveraging this particular audience, and what are you doing for them once they connect with you?
yeah, well, so we are the largest company, as I said, sending North Americans into Ireland. And we're also the largest sending into Scotland. And Ireland and Scotland both have such a deep connection to the United States that North American travelers really do find. I think there's over 37 million Americans who claim Irish ancestry.
Right.
Canada, there's even more. And so what we find is that people who are going to travel for genealogy, and this is what CIE Tours makes available to them, they want to go and they want to see the place that their ancestors came from. They want to learn a little bit more, because they may come with just a partial picture, but they also want
Right.
to make a stop at some resources on the ground. So for example, I'll use Ireland because, we've been around, CIE Tours has been around for 87 years. So we've sent
Mhm.
a lot of Irish Americans back to Ireland, but we also know that they want to stop and they want to see some of the on the ground resources and maybe spend an hour or two talking to someone who can kind of give them the overview of what county their family may have come from. And
Right.
there's a lot of great genealogy resources on the ground in Ireland. CIE Tours can make those accessible. If people travel with CIE Tours on a guided group vacation or a private itinerary, or even sometimes on our scheduled itineraries, we have stops where people can visit places like the National Archives and the National Library, both of which have advisory services, in-house genealogy services, and people can come in and take a workshop and learn a little bit about the history of
Oh.
emigration out of Ireland and where their family may have come from.
Wow. So
There's also,
you're actually connecting people with the resources they need to create their own family journey.
it's one of the benefits of traveling for genealogy is you can
Hmm.
actually get in and see local records. You can have
Right.
somebody, there's a lot of experts in genealogy on the ground in
Oh.
Ireland and in Scotland, and they can
Right.
help you find what you need. But you don't need to just do genealogy. You can also take advantage of doing a really amazing vacation and a really amazing trip at the same time. Most people want to do all of that at once because they want to
Right.
soak up the entire experience.
Yeah, I
So
would
the
think so.
resources on the ground are important.
I would think that they want to step in the feet of their ancestors a little bit, but also see all of the incredible sights that those countries have.
Absolutely. They want to do both. And so I think the legacy of guiding tours through Ireland and
Right.
through Scotland really makes it, you're already traveling through what's relative destination when you go to Ireland. And I'll use Ireland as the reference point, although
Mhm.
the same stands for Scotland as well. But Ireland really, we have sent over 3 million travelers to
Mhm.
Ireland in
Wow.
the years since CIE Tours was incepted. And we have learned a lot about where people want to go and where they're going to connect with these family connections. So using Ireland as a starting point, we actually offer opportunities to join guided tours through places like the Wild Atlantic Way, which touches on 4 or 5 of the counties where many of the immigrants to the United States actually came from. And there are stops where you will see heritage centers and you'll see places where people may have lived and worked and then connected to get on that boat to come to the United States. But we do have tours like Irish Heritage, which includes Dromoland Castle, which is a really popular stop. We
Right.
have tours through the Wild Atlantic Way. We have tours that are things like Taste of Ireland, which take you to kind of what I call the greatest hits, the places. If it's your first trip to Ireland and you're just coming because you've been inspired to come check out your genealogy, but you haven't been before, you want to see those greatest hits. And you also want to take some time, especially on a private itinerary or a guided group vacation. You can really take that time to add in these stops to talk to genealogy experts.
That's
and
cool.
yeah, we do find also that we have, if travelers are joining these scheduled tours like the Wild Atlantic Way or the Taste of Ireland, we also have Northern Ireland. Excuse me, we do have quite a few itineraries, and there's a lot of connection with Northern Ireland and North America as well. But Northern Ireland has a lot of resources. And we find that on these scheduled tours, the guides and the drivers that travel with our groups are so engaging and so well loved. First of all, you've got that Irish hospitality, you've got that warmth, you've got that storytelling. So I would say that by day 2 of anybody's vacation with one of our many dedicated guides and drivers, these folks have already got people falling in love with the destination, but they also are giving them very detailed local advice and storytelling. So for example, we have some great stories that come out of some of our tours.
Good.
We had we had a traveler who decided to bring her entire family with her because her grandmother had come from Ireland, and she knew the county that her grandmother had come from, and she was really hoping to do a stop by and find where her grandmother's home was. So our guide, Philip wasn't about to skip the surface. The Irish storytellers that we have as our guides and drivers, they really want to make a magical experience. And he really was taken in by this woman's story. So he actually insisted on going deeper. So while they were on their tour, he himself stopped over at the visitor center in the local area. And he started to talk to an older gentleman, gave him the family name, told him the woman's story, and learned that not only did the man know the family home of this woman's grandmother, but he was a caretaker and he had a key to the house. The house was still there. So Philip found this out, brought this back to the entire group of passengers on the coach, recounts this story, and he ultimately, everyone is so emotional. The entire group is crying. They are all in agreement that they have to go see this home. So they ultimately make arrangements for the guest to go to the home. The whole group goes with her. She looks around the home and she finds 2 letters and some photographs that she had mailed to her grandmother as a girl. They were still there in the home.
Goodness.
So these are stories that we have dozens of these, but Ireland is still incredibly accessible like that. There are people there who remember a generation back, 2 generations, even 3 generations back. And they are now part of this tourism network. And it's just a great experience. So we're very happy to be able to provide that. So something like that Philip Smith, the guide with CIE Tours, was able to make that happen. And not only able to, but he wanted to make that woman get that experience and connection to her family. So those are just many of the stories that can happen when you do make that foray and you go over to Ireland or you go to Scotland, and you have experts like the CIE Tours experts who can help you with that.
Right. Now, being that I don't have any, heritage from that part of the world, I probably won't be able to be adequately prepared to find family there that doesn't exist. But say I do, what should I be thinking about prior to doing a trip with you so I can be fully prepared to leverage the opportunity with CIE Tours when I go over on a genealogical tour?
Well, the first thing is we would want you to speak to one of our experts who can help you plan the vacation, because the first thing you need to do is let us know that you have this interest in genealogy. And oftentimes if we hear the Irish name, we'll ask about it because we know people might be interested. But let's say that Mrs. Murphy wants to go back to Ireland and she has some interest in genealogy. First and foremost, our person here, before you even get your trip arrangements in place, will want to walk through with you where the Murphys come from. We have all of that information available. Our experts in the office who help put the bookings together can actually walk Mrs. Murphy through. Here are the counties where your family probably is from. These are the biggest counties for the Murphy family name. Then we can pull out the tours and share with Mrs. Murphy which tours go there, or we can customize one that can go specifically and can bump up. So first of all, the first step is tell us what you're interested in. And if there are other Irish names in your tour group as well, give them to us. We can give you some initial background that will help guide you to pick the right places that you want to go. For example, Mrs. Murphy may end up wanting to do a trip that's more surfaced around Cork County and Dublin, which is more like the east and south of the country, because that's where more of the Murphys are from. But Mr. Kelly may call us, and we may want to redirect him, that when he gets into Ireland, we're going to take him straight west, and we're going to have him go more around Galway, because that's more where, now there are great itineraries and tours around both of these, but there's no reason why Mrs. Murphy or Mr. Kelly can't actually get something for their vacation that is steeped right in that area that they want to come from. So the first thing is, let us know what it is you're looking for, because we can now guide you to help make that experience the best. The second thing is, remember that these are great experiences for coming with family and kids and grandparents. So we make it very easily, especially for millennial travelers who are at that age where they may not have the direct connection, but their parents or their grandparents do. But they may also be traveling with kids. So we can find ways to bring these destinations to life for all of the ages if they're traveling together. We've got a family collection, which includes tours that do hit on popular genealogical areas. We've got tours like Irish Myths and Legends, which touches on the history of Ireland, is great for kids. It has a lot of kid-friendly activities, but also pretty engaging for the parents and the grandparents as well. We've got in Scotland, Scottish Locks and Castles, which tours around Scotland and really hits those magical areas that are so famous, Loch Lomond, castles, the things that are in movies and that just really capture the imagination about Scotland. And then in England, we also have English Knights and Wizards, which covers England and Wales. And of course, we haven't even spoken about all the English heritage, but there's a lot of that as well. And we have Scotland and Ireland combination trips. We have England and Ireland combination trips. So a lot of people, especially on the East Coast of the United States, have Scots-Irish heritage, which they actually do have both. And that's a huge segment, especially of like the mid-Atlantic and the south of the United States. So a lot of families may call us and say, I know I have Scots heritage, but that's all I know. And we can start to tell them more and put together a vacation for them, no matter what age of traveler they are.
Wow, that is pretty awesome stuff. I love it. So, these guys are at CIEtours.com. That's CIEtours.com. Is there anything else, Elizabeth, that I should be aware of today? I feel like we're telling a pretty good story so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as everybody is thinking about genealogy, the other piece that's going to go naturally with that is just the local culture, because you want to kind of understand where your family came from.
Right.
One of the things that we know is biggest is also food tourism and food discovery. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everybody who's going to go on a tour, even if they're going for genealogy, they're going to want to know something about the food traditions. But the best part of it is knowing what the food trends are today in some of these places, because Ireland and Scotland are greatly underreported in how amazing the food is today, and some of the greatest chefs are there, and just food activities as well.
Right. So totally. I've heard if it's not Scottish, it's crap. So the food's got to be good.
Yes, exactly. And if I had the right accent, I'd even say it with a Scottish accent.
I didn't even want to try. All of
I
my accents.
Insult anyone by doing it.
I always wanted to be able to do accents successfully, but they just, like, after 2 words, they turn into horrible caricatures, and then they all just evolve into the same really bad one.
Yes, best to stay away.
So, let me reframe this for everybody listening right now. I think the whole point of this is we're in a world of heightened experiential travel. This is nothing new that I'm saying to you. And what Elizabeth was just saying was connecting with food, connecting with culture. That's all where we're there. Now, the whole idea of taking a genealogical tourism tour is really taking that notion of personalization, I think, that we're also looking for, to combine with those elements that I just mentioned to create something that's wholly new, wholly exciting, wholly unique to the individual. And I think that is really some of the exciting future that we can expect with the world of tourism. And folks like Elizabeth Crabill at CIE Tours is doing it. Elizabeth, any final thoughts here?
The only thing I would say is, if people are listening to this and hearing something they want to do it today. There's no reason to wait. There are thousands of tours. There are private experiences waiting, and you will learn so much when you're on the ground. It will be an unforgettable experience. So it's something, don't wait and do it years down the road. Do it now and engage your family in it. It's such a great experience.
I love that, Elizabeth. And you now have earned an amazing shameless plug. So go for it. What do you want to get out there?
Well, I want to make sure everybody knows about new things that are happening for 2019 and 2020. 2019, we do, as I mentioned, food. We have brand new foodie tours.
Yeah.
Foodie tours are launching and they're running right now. They're going to continue into 2020. And those give you opportunities to do things that are unbelievably unique. You can gather seaweed on the coast of Ireland and learn all about the seaweed trade and how seaweed was actually part of the diet. You can actually stroll for oysters and go to an oyster farm, pick them, and we include those on our tours. You can actually gather oysters and then eat those oysters with a chef later at a local restaurant. You can actually have whiskey tastings at local distilleries. These are amazing experiences. So there are foodie experiences as well. And we're also continuing to expand, and we've got a lot of combination trips from Ireland into Scotland. We've got Ireland that's connected with a new destination for us, Iceland, because there's a lot of Viking heritage that's connected between Ireland and Iceland. So I think that a lot of people who find, if you have Irish and or Scandinavian heritage, you will find that Iceland may be part of your DNA as well. So those are things that are all on our website, but consider combination, consider food, and of course, genealogy. It's the way to go.
Yeah, and they also added trips to Italy as well. Florence, Venice, and Rome. So all in all, Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales, Italy, and Iceland. Pretty cool stuff out there. And really, I think the mark of what the future of hospitality and travel is all going to be about. Again, deep personalization. We all want to talk about creating curated experiences. You can't think of a better one than connecting people's heritage to their actual ancestors. So Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here, and for everyone else for being here. And we're going to be right back after this quick break with another great segment here on the No Vacancy Podcast. Thanks all for listening.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, Glenn here. So listen, a while back I told you about the Red Collection, Red Roof's soft brand that was developed after comprehensive research into what travelers today truly desire. It's offering you a great opportunity to affordably expand your portfolio in the heart of cities that you love. Well, for a limited time, that opportunity is miles beyond affordable because Red Roof is offering free royalties for 5 years. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 years to qualified franchisees completing an application by December 31st, 2019. So you better act fast. The Red Collection is a fast-growing group of upper mid-scale unique hotels, each inspired by their city's vibe and culture. Don't we all love that? What's more, every property has its own distinctive name, customized property enhancement plan, and brand standards based on what consumers want rather than arbitrary design mandates. And because all of this is backed by Red Roof, you'll gain the advantage of their owner-operated perspective, as well as a loyalty rewards program with more than 3 million members that just happens to be the richest in class and least expensive for franchisees. Plus, you'll be working with a company with franchisee satisfaction at 90%. To learn more about our 5-year royalty-free program with the Red Collection, offered to here through No Vacancy and other places, contact Matt Hotstetler, Red Roof Senior VP of Development and Franchising, right now. Not just today, right now. Drop everything. Give him a call at 713-576-7426. That's 713-576-7426 or mhostetler at redroof.com. That's MHOSTETLER at redroof.com. And tell him Glenn sent you. All right, and welcome back to the No Vacancy Podcast with me, your host, Glenn Hausman. So I'm excited because we get to talk a little bit about WaterWalk International today and the WaterWalk brand, which has been going through a whole lot of changes over the last 6 months or so. I know in the last year or so, they've really gotten some traction. Things are going really great, but in the last 6 months, they've really burst onto the scene with a big deal that they made, and you know we're going to be getting into this. And in order to bring us through the entire stories, I found myself the one and only Miss Mimi Rogers, who's president of WaterWalk International and Consolidated Holdings. Mimi, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you, Glenn?
I am so good. Thanks for being here today. Man, I'm excited. It seems like you guys can't do anything wrong. You are just crushing it out there. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, all right. So, I think let's get everybody up to speed real quick here as we're having this conversation, because back in May, you made a huge announcement to do a joint venture with Oakwood, which, for those of you guys out there who don't know, is a big company over on the European side of things. Tell me a little bit about this deal. Why was it important to you, and what does it mean for the combined Oakwood WaterWalk brand?
Sure, absolutely. So if I can just back up a little bit and explain where WaterWalk
so
was.
So let's back it up. Doot, doot, doot. All right, we've backed up the truck. Let's do it.
So Oakwood WaterWalk, we started as WaterWalk before this Oakwood deal, and WaterWalk was or is Jack DeBoer's fifth national brand. Jack is known as the pioneer or father of extended stay in the hospitality industry.
Yeah, anybody ever hear of that little brand called Residence Inn? Yeah, he invented it. Ever hear of Candlewood?
Yep.
Yeah, he invented it. I could go on and on, but I'd rather talk to you instead of talking about brand after brand after brand. So go on, please.
Absolutely, yep. So those are his previous brands, which were extremely successful. And now what Jack says is that WaterWalk is his best brand yet. So he really took all the things that he learned from those brands, and he was a massive apartment developer as well before he got into the hospitality space. So all these lessons learned, and now he created WaterWalk, which is a true hybrid of a hotel and an apartment. And what happened is with Oakwood came into the picture and brought an amazingly extensive customer base for our product. So WaterWalk has a really good product, Jack DeBoer operating model, which is extremely slim, drives excellent returns for our investors. We can get into very unique markets, secondary markets, and so forth. And this unfurnished and furnished combination of a product was really appealing for business travelers. However, we did not, as a new brand, we didn't have that brand recognition and global distribution system that a Marriott or a Hilton has. So Oakwood came in the picture and was extremely essential to bring that customer to our product. So Oakwood is, as you mentioned, large global company. They are the largest corporate housing provider, furnished solutions provider worldwide. They have, as you mentioned, an extensive portfolio in Europe and Asia. And now they're really looking to develop in the U.S. and to expand their connections and networks in the U.S. So the combination of these two companies together drew on a lot of synergies, where Oakwood will now be the manager of the properties, and WaterWalk, we over here in Wichita, Kansas, will be the franchisor and the developer for most properties. So again, just creating this really unique synergy to ultimately create higher revenues, higher top line to drive that profitability and those returns to the investors.
Right. Yeah. Really smart plan to help get you that database that opens up and start to create that continual flow of customers, both in the United States and overseas as well. So I gotta ask you, Mimi, what is the most notable change that you've seen in the last 6 months or so since this partnership was formed?
Absolutely. Most notable change has been an immediate access to those large customers that we've never seen before, never had access to as a small brand. So, for example, Oakwood's, their customers make up 85% of the top Fortune 1000 companies. So
wow.
Just a small segment of, showing you what kind of people they work with. So our Las Colinas, Dallas property just saw a massive booking from Wells Fargo for an extended period of 5-month stay, which is really our bread and butter. So we are in that extended stay space. 5-month stay for 15 rooms out of about 75. And again, that's just our foundational business,
right.
And incredibly important to maintain that in our hotels and to maintain that extended stays, to drive those returns and to continue to have that operating model that we have. So never seen that kind of business, that kind of larger company, larger headquarter business come to us yet, and now we're seeing it with Oakwood.
Right, and that's one of the challenges that upcoming brands have, is really being able to break through that clutter initially to get that brand recognition, and that's why this Oakwood deal was such a smart thing for you to do, because you're able to piggyback on that notoriety of the brand and create that level of trust with the customer right outside the gate that you would have had to build in a little bit longer. But once customers get to the property, one of the things that I like about this WaterWalk model is it's kind of like two ideas in one. It's one more of like that hybrid hotel/apartment kind of vibe you got. And then the other side is more of just like traditional apartments, which I think gives owners and operators a good opportunity to get both the extended stay business for a longer term, but even longer business for a year plus. Would that be an adequate way to just describe the business?
Absolutely. Yeah, no question. Just further.
Thank God I got that right.
Side.
Yeah. Sorry,
no, absolutely. And having that apartment side really preserves our investors' capital. So you have that longer length of stay. In a downturn, or a recessional type market, you have protection and preserve your capital there. And then in an up market, where we are right now, you have the upside of those hotel revenues that drive your return and drive your profitability. So it's really a concept that's meant to be flexible in an upswing market and a downswing market. And that's what Jack saw through 2008 as well, through one of his products, that it's just the extended stay model and the apartment model weather much better than a transient hotel.
Right. And we're finally at the point where, for everyone out there, I don't have to explain what the extended stay model is out there, because you already understand that you need fewer full-time employees to run it. You already understand that customers staying for a little bit more than a couple of days want that extra space there. And I think you're starting out there to get to understand the importance of these hybrid concepts and being able to spread out the risk through multiple types of products. And I also think, Mimi, that this is all very symbolic of where people are moving, culturally speaking, for how they want to stay in a property. So tell me a little bit about why you feel your accommodations and guest services and all of that really kind of hit in the sweet spot of what the average extended stay customer is looking for in 2019 and 2020.
Sure. So our properties have extremely unique units in the extended stay world for a couple of reasons. One reason is that we really are an apartment at the end of the day. So we could take all the furniture out and we could function or serve as an apartment. And so what our guests are saying is that, wow, that's really nice to have that extra space versus just a normal hotel room. You have a full-size kitchen. We have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. You actually have a full-size washer and dryer in your unit, which is extremely unique in the extended stay business. And that's receiving a ton of recognition from our guests and is a big differentiator in the market. And then we have a really unique breakfast program. So typically, actually, Jack started the whole free breakfast program back in the Residence Inn world. And so what we're seeing is when these guests stay at these hotels for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, that cold scrambled eggs and cereal gets a little bit old after a couple weeks or a couple days even.
Yep.
So what Jack came up with, which is a new brilliant and innovative concept, is build your breakfast. And so we give the customer or the guest the opportunity to choose their own breakfast. And we have a system online where they can go in and they can choose whatever they want. And there's a whole host of selections. You can choose, your own pancake mix and your own eggs and blueberry bread or bananas or really whatever you want. And we will deliver that to your door in your fridge so that you can make your own breakfast in the comfort of your home in your pajamas versus going down to that same breakfast buffet every single morning. So that's been a very unique differentiator as well.
Wow. That's really cool. Right there. I like the idea of having that stuff delivered to your room so you can make your own breakfast. And again, guys, we're looking at a different type of mindset here. The folks that are staying for extended periods of time, let's just say they're in for a long-term corporate training, or they're there because a member of their family is in an extended stay in a hospital, for example. These people don't want to do what they typically do in a regular transient hotel. They want to feel more at home. And I got to tell you, making your your own eggs in the morning or doing something in your own room helps create that sense of feeling that in the end will help you better connect, I think, with the customer in the long term because it shows that you really understand them. So how do you wind up serving guests beyond just that breakfast meal to make sure that you're there, but not too much there?
Absolutely. So we do offer a 24/7 service model, like a typical hotel, but that's really atypical in the apartment world. So we're basically elevating the corporate housing world, which is just typical furnished units in apartment buildings. So we now provide 24/7 service to our guests and residents, so both on the unfurnished and furnished side. And we provide a concierge level service. So if you read our reviews, if you speak to any guests, if you stay with us, you'll really understand what kind of service I'm talking about. It's service from the heart. It's warm. We try to treat our guests and residents like family. One example is our general managers know every single dog and cat that lives in our building and by name. And every day they come down and they get a treat at our general manager's office. And it really, you can just sense the sense of family and warmth from our service that we provide.
That's really cute that they take the time to learn the pet names, too. That's great. So,
again, you want to feel like you're at home.
Yeah. So who are the target customers? And I know that's kind of a little bit of a fishy question because part of it is where you put the particular WaterWalk property and what are the demand generators within that area. But if you could just generalize, what do you see as the typical profile of a guest that's staying in the hotel and how long they typically stay?
Sure. So our typical guest, or what we're really targeting, is an employee that is in a market for a project or a relocation or a training. And again, with that extended stay business, those are the types of projects or demand that generate the 3 to, let's just say, 9-month stays. And sometimes it's, closer to 30 days or even 15 days, which is just as good for us, depending on rates. But those are really the 3 targets that we go after. So we look in at secondary markets because we have a 2-building concept right now, and we're developing about 3 to 4 acres. So we're looking for 3 to 4 acres in these secondary markets near large headquarters or near Class A office that have white-collar industries, finance, technology, education, and as you mentioned, hospitals. So medical is also a big driver in customer segment for us. As you know, a lot of people have to travel to hospitals for an extended period of time. So that's also a key customer for us as well.
Right. And so how many properties do you have open right now? How's that all going? What's where are you thinking about in the future?
We have 6 properties open right now, 2 in Dallas, 1 in San Antonio, Kansas City, Denver, and Wichita. And then we are under construction with 3 right now, Charlotte and Raleigh and Minneapolis. And we have a pretty healthy and extensive development pipeline. So we're looking to start construction in the next year on properties in Austin and near Washington, D.C., Jacksonville, Florida, near Philadelphia. And we're kind of starting to see a growth, a expansion of our growth and really see that uptick and things as we start to develop more and more properties.
Wow, that's cool. Now, other than the fact that you got Gina McKee on board with franchising, I mean, there's got to be other reasons why people are investing in this company, although that's enough of a reason for me. What is attracting investors to your company?
I believe truly it's a combination of things. It's Jack's track record and his ability to successfully build brands and build unique brands that have a really good exit strategy with some of these larger brands.
Right.
But I also just think it's the unique model and product that we're delivering to the market. There's definitely a need for this model in the market as we're seeing the traditional extended stay hotels like Residence Inn and Homewood Suites. Their average length of stay is really pushing more towards transient. So Residence Inn average length of stay is 3.5 nights. And what these apartments are looking for is pushing more towards their longer leases, right, for more stability in the revenues. So we see this big gap in the market between that week and that year stay that we're trying to enter into and capture. And so there's definitely a need, and I think our investors really believe in that need and see it and want to invest there in that space. And again, it drives incredible returns because of the nature of the business.
Where do you think this whole extended stay segment is going to be going to in the future? You think this is it? This is it? This is the way people want to stay?
I think that's an interesting question. I think that this whole corporate housing and serviced apartment world is up and coming right now. It's a very large concept in Europe and in Asia even, but it just hasn't really hit the U.S. yet. But I think it's starting to with some concepts such as Corman and AVE. So what customers are looking for is what I've found is they want to feel at home when they're living somewhere they're not staying, they're really living somewhere for multiple months. And so they want more space. They want it to feel like an apartment or a home. They want to do their laundry in their unit. They want to have breakfast in their unit or their apartment or hotel room. So I really think that there's going to be a push towards more of a home-like experience and less of like a hotel transient-like experience.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mimi. And to add to that, I will say that there's a lot of this business has already been there, but it's been hidden behind the scenes, kind of lurking below the surface out there. But the way that the service apartment industry was structured, that it wasn't really visible to the average consumer out there. Like I said, it was all happening behind the scenes, right, Mimi? There wasn't a lot of technology in place. Now, all of a sudden, it seems as if all of these properties are bursting onto the scene because all of these companies that have been around in Europe and Asia, as you pointed out, are now all of a sudden thrust into the consumer mindset, even though they've been there for a long time, which I think is helping to create that swell here in the United States where we didn't have that same commitment to corporate housing as we do now. And Oakwood WaterWalk is really well positioned to leverage this particular trend that's emerging here in the United States, even though it's the way that people have wanted to stay for a real long time to come. So, Mimi, think that I assessed that correctly?
Absolutely. You are spot on.
Woo! Thank goodness. I like it. I really like what Corman is up to. Corman, they've got a brand called AKA, Stay AKA. You could go check them out. Very different company than Oakwood WaterWalk. They're in bigger cities like New York and Philadelphia, and they appeal to very, very high-end extended stay traveler. Think Hollywood actor being in a movie for a few months, and they gotta stick around. So we did a podcast in the past with Larry Corman of AKA, so of Corman Companies. Check that out. You could find that in our database. But I got to ask you, Mimi, what's it like being president of an emerging company? What are you learning every day? What is that process for you as you strive every day to become a better professional?
Every day is an incredible learning experience, and I just feel honored to work alongside Jack, my grandfather, and that in and of itself is just every day I learn more than one thing. So it's always a learning experience. I am always looking to grow and to really do whatever it takes to make this company, first of all, a place that makes that list of top companies that people want to work for. But second of all, that it really does become Jack's best brand yet.
Yeah. How do you live up? This is kind of a tricky question, but how do you live up to the standards that he's set? Because he is so iconic and he's done so much. Even though he's grandpa, it's got to be intimidating when you're in a professional sense to be working with someone like that. So how do you balance the fact that, he used to bounce you on his knee when you were little to now you've got to look at him as the man and live up to his standards in the professional world?
I think that's just it. I think it's a constant inspiration to me every day to be that way and to learn and grow and ultimately become hopefully close to what he's done for the hospitality industry and the apartment world. So it's just a constant inspiration, and we've developed a really great rapport and working relationship together. But we also still have, our wonderful personal relationship and our fun together outside of the office as well. So it's the best of both worlds, really.
That's great, and it's amazing to see at his age that he's still going so strong, not retiring, and creating amazing new brands that continue to be ahead of where consumer trends are going. Maybe congratulations. This has been exciting. Now, if somebody wants to find you guys, if they want to get some more information, how can they find you? How can they find Oakwood WaterWalk?
Sure. So if you go to our website, oakwoodwaterwalk.com, that's a great place to start, and it has some contact information on there. Or you can reach out, for a franchising opportunity, you can reach out to Gina McKee, who is our Vice President of Franchise Development. Her email is ginaM@waterwalk.com. And, but again, as I mentioned, the website really has all the team members and information you need to go from there. So we'll love to hear from anyone.
Awesome. And I want to say that this was one of the more challenging interviews I ever had to do. Not because of Mimi. She was awesome because as a Long Island guy, I have trouble saying the word water. I want to say water all the time. So to say WaterWalk repeatedly was a big trick for me. All right, Mimi, I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. I want to thank everybody else for listening to the show today. I had such a great time talking to Mimi, and I want to be sure if you haven't subscribed to our podcast, seriously, what are you thinking? Go on right now. Go to Apple Podcasts. Go to Google Play. Subscribe right now. It's free to you. It's going to make your life a lot better to have us each and every single week in your email box. So I want to thank you guys for being here, and I will be back next week. Unless I suddenly discover I can walk on water all the way to our water walk and invest in them. Until then, I will see you all next week. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.